Rauta's reviews. This time it's a black metal band from Finland called And Oceans. Those who lived already in the 90s and were listening to the bands might actually remember the band because, I mean, they did quite a bit of nice music back in the mid 90s to 2005 or so. So basically, more or less active first 10 years doing albums and all, and then it was pretty much a goner. Mind you, however, these albums came between 1998 and 2002. It was a relative short span of time during which the band was active. Now, the band then went on hiatus later on, and if you take a look here at the Metal Archives list, you will see that after the initial albums, which of the last one was Cypher 2002, there was only like these splits and compilations and stuff like that, but then basically the band split up for various reasons. The guys never stopped doing the music. It was more like people went in different directions and they had side projects and all that stuff. Something, however, happened many, many years later, and 2020 was a comeback year for And Oceans with the Cosmic World Mother album, which is a good album. In fact, I would say as far as it's the best album since Cypher. I mean, the Cypher is my favorite one, but it's a little bit different than the rest of the albums. So I would say Cosmic World Mother is actually better than all of those albums prior to Cypher. Not maybe better because, well, like I said, I have a soft spot for it. But the thing here is, during those times, probably a lot of people felt like this is kind of a band that is not coming back. And when it came, it was a positive surprise. And now, as a successor to that, we have this 2023 album, As in Gardens, So in Tombs, which is more like a little brother to the previous one. One could even say it's the stronger brother because while these two definitely share a lot in common, this album might be a tiny bit better. Now, this is always a little bit hard to say because it takes more time to figure out which one is better. Is the first comeback album actually better than the one, continuing from that, or vice versa? And I would say my initial feeling with this album is that this could be a little bit better. However, it's not changing style drastically. The thing here is this is basically the same style. So it's a fan favorite thing definitely happening. They're not changing their style too much or almost at all, but they are kind of keeping the engine going the way that I think a lot of us fans hope it to be. To sum it up, this is black metal, basically like, how it should have been after Emperor did their Anthems album, before they went overly symphonic and kind of lost the ball and all that stuff. But that's a different story. My point here is, since bands like Emperor, Gehenna, and other synth-filled melodic black metal bands with lots of energy, but without going totally Dimmu Borgir, kind of vanished from the map and decided to do something else, there was a void that needed to be filled. But And Oceans wasn't ready back in the days. Various reasons, I don't even know nor care. But now that they are back, this void is going to be filled because these kind of albums are in fact what we need in terms of, bringing back that 90s feeling, but with more equipment, modern equipment, more skill sets, and more understanding how we want our music sound. So, And Oceans is almost like tailor-made album to feel this stuff. And if you ask me, well, this is better album than Anthems by Emperor because this is more consistent in style and quality. There are no weak points, which in my opinion Anthems does have, and as such this is enjoyable to listen. I gave this quite a few listens, and while this is not the most memorable album on earth, which is probably the only flaw this album might have, it's all the way consistent in terms of quality. The drums are good. They're almost like machine made but sounding more organic. I know the drummer and he's skilled and it totally shows throughout this album. The guitar melodies are nice and they're in a good balance with the keyboards. The keyboards never dominate too much, but they also play an essential role with the music. I mean, if you just would remove the keyboards, this album would feel a little bit empty. Then again, it's not only the guitars that are doing the stuff. So it's more like you do your part, I do mine, the kind of stuff. And on top of that, you have good production and solid, screamy black metal vocals. They're nothing out of ordinary, they're not super raw, but they're not weak either. They're very skilled, but obviously if you know the vocalist, well, he's a very, very experienced guy, like the rest of the band. And as such, the work here is very, very nicely done. So it's a good and solid album, which in my opinion deserves attention. So in case you missed And Oceans back in the days, don't worry about that because the two last albums by the band, including this one, are the ones that really nailing it. In my opinion, it feels more like the band was rehearsing back in the 90s and now they're finally doing what they were trying to do back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And now they are on the road to the victory. That being said, I expect the band to go even further and hone their style even better with the coming albums. But already we have these two good albums out and now we are able to enjoy it. Go to see the band live also because it's a good one. The experience clearly shows and it's enjoyable to listen both live as well as on albums. And in case I got you interested, there is an interview out on the Rauta channel, but it's with the previous vocalist. Let's hope we can actually do a new interview at some point to keep the things updated and all that stuff. But meanwhile, off you go. This has been out since January 27th, so very fresh from the oven. You can almost feel the warmth like a, fresh bread. So go and spend your time with an oceans and enjoy.